It's being called an epidemic. America's heroes coming home from the battlefield and taking their own lives.
We lost our 21-year-old son, who was a sub-sailor, almost 16 years ago.
Invisible injuries carried home from places halfway across the world.
We don't talk about it. We don't talk about mental health or anything like that.
An important topic, an essential discussion. How do we keep our military members safe? Safe from themselves when they finally arrive back home. Good evening, I'm Adam Longo. The holiday season can be a very lonely season for those who are suffering in silence. But we're here tonight to talk about a year-round problem, and one that has hit our armed forces and veterans particularly hard: post-traumatic stress and suicide. We're going off script and in depth tonight for a revealing look behind the curtain and how this issue touches so many people beyond just the soldier who's affected. With us tonight on Off Script, Carolyn Colley, a lawyer here in D.C. She lost two of her brothers to suicide. Both were in the Army. Both had deployed to Iraq in 2006. And my brother, Alex J. Longo, is joining us as well. He's a captain in the U.S. Army Reserves and is on active duty right now, stationed at Fort Leavenworth in Kansas, here with us on leave. And Alex, we want to make clear to the audience right now that you're not here in any way, shape, or form to speak on behalf of the U.S. military. I invited you here just to talk about your experiences within the military and your connection to the topic that we're going to be discussing tonight. Carolyn, I want to start with you. Your brother Stephen took his life in 2007.
Yes.
Your brother Alan took his life just this past September.
Yes.
Talk to me about your brothers. Talk to me about why they were suffering, why they were in pain.
Like you said, my brothers were deployed 2005, 2006 for a year. They were actually while stationed close to each other, not stationed together. Stephen came home. He was home for about 6 months. He was suffering that time. He did a assessment, as most soldiers do when they return. He wrote in that assessment that he was suffering. He was sent for help. Unfortunately, the social worker that saw him that day did not look at page 3 of the report. She sent him home. He had a dental appointment that day to have some wisdom teeth pulled, where they gave him Percocet, which is a psychotropic drug. He was sent home without a battle buddy, and he committed suicide that day in his backyard.
So the warning signs were just missed badly, to
Badly,
put it lightly.
yes. And the Army investigation clearly stated that. They said they were the cause of my brother's death, and that he had reached out for help several times. And what we do know is people that are contemplating suicide, they reach out for help and they're still not getting help. There's no hope left.
And
so
unfathomable to believe that this tragedy affected your family the same way 10 years later.
Yeah, my older brother Alan, obviously he suffered a lot in the last 10 years also, and he struggled to keep himself going. He did not reach out for help. I think that his main concern was that his Army career would be ruined if he reached out for help. And so in September, he took his life.
And Alex, you knew Alan. Okay. And that is a story that has been shared throughout military circles, that if people come forward and say that they are somehow suffering from some kind of mental illness or something's wrong, that they feel like that's going to hurt their careers.
Right, there's a stigma attached to it because we're all kind of trained that you need to be resilient, you need to be strong, you need to, fight, you need to close with and destroy the enemy and do all these other things that, a lot of Americans don't typically get exposed to. And so there's a psyche involved with it that reaching out for help is a sign of weakness, when in fact it's just the opposite. It's just acknowledging the fact that just like you have a staff and you have other soldiers that work for you, you don't have all the answers, and that's okay to acknowledge that.
Yeah. Carolyn, what has the Army done for your family as far as communicating, both back in 2007 and now in 2017? Have there been any differences in the way that they have approached you and your family?
Absolutely, hugely different. My brother's Stephen's command at Fort Hood, the commander didn't even call my parents to offer condolences. There was nothing. It was a long investigation. It took about 6 months. It was not good. In contrast, my brother's unit they held a memorial service for him. They've been there really every step of the way. The investigation is still pending, but...
You are a veteran.
Yes.
Your father is a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
How in the world has your family coped with this?
I think what gets me through is I do have siblings, and they are everything to me. My older brother Alan had 2 kids, and it's unbearable, but there's also an aspect of trying to do all we can to save somebody else this pain.
Right. To that end, Alex, you enlisted in the Army, and you went in 2003. You continue now in the Army Reserves as an officer. How have you seen the Army's approach to PTSD and suicide change in the 14 years that you've been in the uniform?
Well, there was like I mentioned before, a big stigma attached to reaching out and seeking help, because a lot of times by doing so, you'd expose yourself to additional, I say, quote unquote, trauma, because your security clearance could be up, in jeopardy just for seeking out for psychological counseling and things like that. And that kind of flipped. I noticed around like 2009, 2010 is when I started to see some of the language in the law change, specifically reflecting if you seek counseling for financial issues or for battle-related stress like PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, those things, that it specifically, they wanted to get the message out that it would not affect your career, and then just to kind of everyone in the culture to get accepting of the fact that a soldier reaching out was not going to affect their career, and that the soldiers felt like the command team supported them when they reached out. It has been a huge difference, but there's still a stigma attached to it. So
to both of you, if you were somehow put in command of what could be done here, this is not a problem that can be solved by Congress throwing money at it, right? So many problems we say can be solved by that. So if both of you were in charge of how to bring this problem under control and rein it in, Carolyn, to you first, what do you think the #1 thing is that the military needs to be doing?
I think that one of the main issues is right now there's the Ferris Doctrine, which means that in my brother Stephen's case, for example, although the military said they were the cause of his death, there's nothing that the family can do about it, that they just kind of get off scot-free, no questions asked. So I would love to see that change. I think the other problem is active duty service members actually cannot seek care outside. There's great organizations like Get Headstrong, the Headstrong Project, where they offer free counseling to active duty and veterans, but active duty actually cannot go see them. And I think, if someone needs help, I think they should be allowed to seek help anywhere.
So Alex, if you were across the river at the Pentagon, what would be your deciding factor to help change things?
Well, I think that a big part of it is relationships. I mean, I've had people, senior level, people talk to me about that. The Army can be great about collecting numbers as far as we've trained this many people in suicide prevention, but it's not translating into soldiers' lives saved. And that's a problem, is that it all starts with relationships. It's like, it's from the soldiers that are in Iraq, Afghanistan, all the way up to Korean World War II veterans. A lot of them are suffering and you don't know about it. And reaching out through a text message is not a replacement for a relationship. You have to build that rapport with them so that when the time comes when you recognize, some signs that, they're going down a bad path or they're doing negative self-talk, you can recognize it and address it.
20 veteran suicides on average every day in this country, something that has to be turned around. Carolyn, Alex, we appreciate you coming on to talk about this crucial topic, and we hope that certainly we can affect change as a result of this conversation. This is an important topic, and I want to know what you're feeling about it tonight. Tweet to me using the hashtag #OffScriptOn9. Write down your thoughts, and we're going to keep this conversation going online.
And I would like to know why you died for me.
And stick around. Later in the show, my brother Alex will be performing a song live off of his album that is dedicated to helping those soldiers who are suffering in silence. Stick around for that and look ahead at some wintry weather. Moving in for the morning, Melissa Nord will be here with us in just a bit. Keep it here.
White stones on green plateaus, and your names are all unknown.
A military veteran who served in Vietnam. His name is John Dixon. Decades later, he still suffers from post-traumatic stress, an ongoing battle with invisible injuries. Now, this is something our veterans are no stranger to. Many of them just need a friend. Special Assignment Unit reporter Andrea McCarran is trying to help make that happen for veterans coast to coast, pushing Congress for funding that would pair service dogs with veterans who need them the most. Not convinced? Just listen to John Dixon's story.
I don't feel alive. I feel dead. My soul's dead. I can't communicate. I can't love. Nobody's around me, It's terrible. The survivor guilt alone can kill you if you think about it long enough.
As a veteran with post-traumatic stress, what would you like people to know?
I need a friend.
Today, 50 years later, your mind is still trapped in Vietnam?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's probably the worst thing in the world. She was looking at me with her eyes open. How do I deal with this? I carry it all the time. But you live with it, you get used to it.
John,
Yeah.
Did you ever think about taking your own life?
Once in '83, when I was drinking so heavy, it was incredible. I just want it all to stop. How long are we going to let this go on? I cry almost every day just because of what I have to deal with. And like, you know, we got to get the message across.
You are holding the end of Nigel's leash. Does that calm you in any way?
Oh yeah. Just a little baby. It's all we need. It's just all we need.
If you're moved by this story and want to transform your emotions into action, contact your members of Congress and ask them to support the PAUSE Act. It's House Resolution 2327 on the House side and Senate 1014 on the Senate side. We've provided links to all your representatives on our website, WUSA9.com. And we have been listening to the musical sounds of Captain Alex Longo. You'll see him up here in just a second. He'll have a full performance on the way. So it is the most wonderful time of the year if you enjoy frigid temperatures and the chance of snow.
And not even the chance of a lot of snow, just some flurries, some snow showers. Right. That's about it over the next 7 days. It's otherwise just cold outside. So the first chance of some flurries actually kicks in here tomorrow morning. This is a low-end chance, but anything that falls is going to stick to the ground. So between 2 a.m. and 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, that's during the morning commute, if you see some flurries or some light snow, don't hit the brakes very hard because the roads will become slick for you first thing tomorrow morning. Here's what we're talking about. Clouds are beginning to move into West Virginia. Very weak disturbance right now over the Corn Belt area. This is going to send clouds in our direction tonight, and it's going to try to spark off some flurries or snow showers. Futurecast 9 o'clock tonight. We become mostly cloudy at that point, but temperatures drop below freezing at that point. And for most of us, we will not get back above freezing for a couple days from here on out. So 9 o'clock tonight, mostly cloudy. We'll go past midnight tonight. There's a lot of dry air not working in this snow system's favor, but I think eventually we overcome this dry air. We'll see some flurries, maybe a light snow shower around early tomorrow morning. 8 o'clock, things are wrapping up. Sunshine returns for your lunch shower tomorrow, and it's cold the rest of the day. Temperatures will be stuck below freezing tomorrow. Right now we're at 35 in D.C., 25 below in International Falls, Minnesota. It's 1 below in Minneapolis and just a balmy 3 degrees in Chicago. Cold air settling in, reinforcing shots of cold air are going to keep us cold for the next 7 days and honestly the next 10 days. I think by next weekend, then we start to turn the corner and warm things back up to where we were last week. 29 on Thursday. We'll have wind chills Thursday morning in the single-digit territory. Going to be turning cold outside and staying cold for your New Year's as well. 33 on Friday this weekend, low 30s. New Year's Day, 27 degrees.
Coming up on the way, we're going to hear some music from my brother, Captain Alex J. Longo. He's going to sing a song off of his album Hope that you can download on iTunes for free, raising awareness for PTSD and military suicide. We'll be right back. Back with my brother Alex Longo, who is a captain in the U.S. Army Reserves and also a musician. When we've been talking this conversation about veteran suicide and PTSD, you know, you've gone above just knowing about it? You've gotten involved. Talk about some of the things that you do to get involved with this.
Well, I've seen how much an impact music can have with people. You know, we did some Christmas concerts when I was in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I saw how much it brought people together and it gave them relief from their problems and their stressors and things like that. And so I had a soldier that I deployed to Afghanistan with who took his own life a couple years after coming back, and that kind of inspired me to record a bunch of songs that I'd had for like 20 plus years, and I dedicated it to, you know, veterans that are suffering, because a lot of them, you know, they don't reach out, and then sometimes it's too late.
Right, and that's the key. And we want to also mention that your music, your album that you've done, it's a free download. It's on Amazon, Apple, and Spotify. I have put the links to those downloads up on my Facebook page, Longo TV. Talk to us about this album and the songs that you've written and the name of the album and what it's for.
So the name of the album is Hope, and I hired an artist to paint the cover, which is a soldier that's been through a lot of combat, experience and deployments. Just looking out a window inside a very dark room and looking at green grass and blue skies, but in this dark place, and they're holding a weapon in their hand. And the idea being is that I called the album Hope because a lot of times all you have to do is just look up for hope, but you can see all the good stuff, you just can't get there. Right. And so one of the songs that I wrote on there was called Robin, about Robin Williams, who took his own life. And then I since incorporated Alan and Stephen Colley's story into that because I felt it was appropriate, and I wanted to certainly keep that message in their story alive.
One of the key takeaways that we want for people watching this show, at least one person watching to this show, if you think you're in a bad place, reach out to a family member, reach out to a friend. If you haven't heard from somebody in a while might be struggling, reach out to them. That's important, and that's what's going to help get folks through. What's the name of the song you're going to perform, and give us a little history lesson about it?
So this one is called Robin, Alan, Stephen, and it's about, just about all those times that you're kind of in bad places and, all the things that are going on in your head that you just kind of convince yourself that there's no hope, and in fact there is hope, and it's just kind of the takeaway from that.
Alex Longo, take it away.
Even fools seem smart when they're quiet. Sometimes the best response is no response at all. There is a lesson in everything. You'll have bad times, but they wake you up to what you weren't paying attention to. Keep alive the things that make you feel alive. You're only given a little spark of madness, you mustn't lose it, but make it thrive. The saddest people try their hardest. They try their hardest to not make you feel left out, 'cause everyone has a story that we know nothing about. Oh, Robin, make us smile again. Oh, Robin, will you wake up and tell us where you've been? Oh, Robin, let's go and make amends. Robin, come on back and make us laugh again. Well, you will change the world. No matter what people tell you, words and ideas show us skies of blue. This is your world, shape it or someone else will. At times it's hard to swallow that pill. What doesn't make you stronger has the chance to kill. Lord, take away the pain, take my free will. Oh, Alan, make us smile again. Oh, Alan, will you wake up and tell us where you've been? Oh, Alan, let's go and make amends. Alan, come on back and make us laugh again.